Okay, so here is your review for your test on Friday, April 24th. So if you guys have questions on stuff, you can, again, hopefully this will help explain that. You can shoot me an email, log into Teams sometime this week. Again, we just got to be ready for that test on Friday. Okay, so its first section is multiple choice. Angle SUP is what type of angle. So SUP is on the circle, so that's actually an inscribed angle. I know it's kind of weird to think on and it's in. Angle TOU, so TOU is a central angle because it's at the center. Arc TSR, so TSR, I know it's going to be a semicircle or a major arc because it's got the three-letter notation. This one is a semicircle. TUP, that's a major because it's beyond the halfway point. Arc SRM, so SRM is also a major arc. Segment SU. So SU is a diameter because it goes through the center of the circle. Segment OS. Let's see, OS is a radius because it's only half. Line PU. So line PU would be a secant. I know that you don't see the line on there, but because of the notation, we could extend that. And for how it's written in the question, that is definitely a line because of the arrows on it. Number 9, line NU. So NU is going to be a tangent. So just keep that in mind. Look at that notation when you see arrows above, or if there's no arrows, that's from the very first chapter of the year, so way back in August. Okay, the next portion says determine the value of x in each of the following problems. Show all work and box your answers. So the first one, this is an angle located inside of the circle. So your formula for that is half of the two intercepted arcs added together gives you your angle measure. So in this problem, 56 and 54 is 110. So that's going to be 55 degrees. Okay, this next one here, this one is an angle outside of the circle, so you're going to have to subtract the two intercepted arcs. The only problem with this one is we don't actually know that intercepted arc. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add up 108 plus 98 plus 78 plus I'm going to call that angle Y, or excuse me, the arc measure. That's got to add up to 360. So if I do some quick math on that, so 360 minus 108 minus 98 minus 78. That's going to give us 76 degrees for that arc measure. And now I'm ready to do the problem. So just like the last one, it's going to be half, only it's a subtraction problem of the two arcs. So that's going to be half of 22. X is going to be 11 degrees. Okay, and then the last one, this is probably the easiest one. Because there is only one arc measure that's intercepted, so I guess if I go back and highlight in this angle, there's two arc measures that are created by those intersecting lines. This one only has one, so that's why it's just half of the number. So half of 128 is 64 degrees. Okay, so those are the three styles of problem. Sometimes you have to find some extra information before you can actually do the question. 13, quadrilateral ABCD is inscribed in the circle below. Find the values of both. So I'm going to start with Y on this problem because if I highlight, I know that Y intercepts those two arcs. So if I take half of 100 and 120, so that's half of 220. So my Y value is going to be 110 degrees. Okay, so that's just like question number 12. The arc that was intercepted was a 220 degrees. Take half of that, you get 110. Now the other piece of that is when you have a quadrilateral, so a four-sided figure, we know that x plus y has to add up to 180. So because I know the one measure already, x plus 110 equals 180, so x is going to equal 70 degrees. Okay, number 14, quadrilateral MQKL is inscribed in the circle. Find the value of x. So if I take half of 4x plus 24 plus 5x, that's got to equal the angle measure, 6x minus 9, so half of the arc measure is going to equal the angle measure. Again, the reason we can do that is because there's my arc, there's my angle. So that angle, if I extend it, intercepts the green arc that we have there. Now, if I'm doing this problem personally, I'm just going to take 9x plus 24 and set it equal to 12x minus 18. I'm not going to take the half. I'm going to double because I like multiplying by 2 better than dividing by 2. So now I have my problem. Add 18, subtract 9. So that's going to be 42 equals 3x. So then x equals 14. And that's what we're trying to find, is the value of x. All right, number 15, use the central angles to find the value of x or the missing angle. So on this problem, central angles equal the arc measure. So 11x plus 9 has to equal 75. So subtract 9. 11x equals 66, so x equals 6. This next one, find the measure of angle SXW. So that's going to be this angle here. So I know that this is 78. So then I know that interior angle is 78, or that central angle, excuse me. So I can find this angle here because I have half of a circle. So 52 plus 78 plus y equals 180. So I go to my calculator, 180 minus 52 minus 78. That's going to be 50 degrees. Now I'm going to switch colors here, and I know that this is also, missed my 0. I know that that also adds up to 180, that purple line there. So I know that the measure of angle SXW is going to be 130 degrees because that's also a semicircle when we did that one. Okay, more multiple choice. Angle SOR is a central angle. Angle MSU is an inscribed angle. Arc MU is a minor arc. Arc SRU is a semicircle. SRM is bigger, so that's a major arc. Line SM, that's going to be a secant. If it said segment SM, then it would be a chord. All right, 22, the measure of SOT is 88 degrees. Find the measure of arc TU. So SOT is 88. Find the measure of TU. So if the angle is 88, then the arc is 88. So I can figure out this one because 180 minus 88. So that's going to be 92 degrees. 23, use the intersecting chords to find the values of the variables in the following problem. So now we have, again, similar questions. So I want to find the value of find the value of x. A is just the angle that's in the middle there. So I know that the x plus 145, if I take half of that, that has to equal my angle on the inside. So again, just like last time, I don't like taking half, so I'm going to double it instead. So x plus 145 has to equal 200, so x equals 55 degrees. So that arc measure is 55 degrees. Part B, again, I'm going to do the same thing. I know that half of 55x plus 161 has to equal 108. Again, I personally do not like taking half, so I'm going to cross that out, and I'm going to say multiply by 2. So we're going to go with 55x plus 161 equals 216. So 216 minus 161, that's easy math. 55x equals 55, so then x equals 1 on that problem. Okay, 24, use the intersecting tangent lines to find the values of the variables in the following problems. So again, those three things boil down to, is the angle inside the circle, on the circle, or outside the circle? So in this problem, it's outside, so this is a subtraction. The issue is I don't know the measure of the arc that's on the outside, but I do know that 360 minus 117 would give me what's left. So that's 243 is my green arc. So now I can do half of 243 minus 117. It's going to give me my angle. So 243 minus 117 divided by 2. So x is 63 degrees. So again, I had to find a portion of the problem first before I could actually solve the problem. Next one, same thing. I don't know that arc, so I'm going to do it the same way. I'm going to go 360 minus 237. So that's 123 degrees. So then to find that angle measure, half of 237 minus 123 equals 28x plus 1. So this one, if I take 237 minus 123, that's 114. I don't mind doing it on that one. Half of 114 is 57. So I actually use the half of that number on this problem instead of multiplying the other side by 2. So now I subtract 1, so 56 equals 28x, so x equals 2. Okay. Again, you could multiply by 2 and get 56x plus 2 equals your 114 and then go through and finish solving, but when it's all numbers, I don't mind taking half of it. When it's variables, I don't want to work with fractions. 25, use the intersection of the circle to find the value of the variables. So again, the same thing here is the angle on, in, or out. So these are on the circle. So I can figure out what this arc is. Half of the arc equals the angle. So I know that that arc measure, if I double that, that's 96 degrees. So now I can figure out this whole other piece because 360 minus 96 is going to be 264 degrees. Okay, so now this next one, if I go through and figure out this piece here, well, I don't have the angle measure as a number, but I can double it to figure what that is. So that would be 2 plus 58x. And then if I add 122x minus 2 to it, I know that that has to equal 360 degrees. So I found this part is 2 plus 58x. And then I just said, okay, well, I know a whole circle is 360 degrees. So this piece plus this piece has to make 360. So 122 and 58 is 180x equals 360. Wow, look at that. We got some nice numbers. So x equals 2. Okay, 26. Use the intersection of the tangent and the secant to find the value of x. So again, same thing. If I take the arc minus the arc, so half of 26x plus 5 minus 59 has to equal the angle measure. So this time I'm going to take that 1/2 and I'm actually going to multiply it. So 26x plus 5 minus 59 has to equal 76. So 5 minus 59 is negative 54. So 26x minus 54 equals 76. Add 54. That's 130. So 130 divided by 26 is 5. Okay, 27. This one is an angle on the circle, which means I can just double that, and that's going to be 70. And because I'm looking for this, since I have half a circle here, I know that 8x minus 2 plus 70 has to equal 180, or some of you will jump right to this, 8x minus 2 you knew had to equal 110, because if you have 70, you know the other piece is 110. So 8x equals 112. So 112 divided by 8, x is 14. Okay, the next one here, B, we got a triangle there. So if I take half of the 70, that gives me that angle of 35. And then again, from first semester, we know that 35 plus 83 plus 11x minus 4, those all have to add up to 180 because in any triangle is 180 degrees. So 35 plus 83 minus 4. So that's 11x plus 114 equals 180. So take 114 away, we get 11x equals 66, and x equals 6. Okay, now for my favorite ones. These are questions that are kind of like a puzzle. So you just have to go through and figure out like what pieces do you know, and then how can you work with those to find other pieces of it. So the first thing I like to do is always fill in what do they give me for the given information. So I'm going to do that in purple. So GE, so that's arc GE is 124. Okay. Arc ED is 38. So ED is 38. Arc BD is 68. And that's all they give me. Okay. So now we can go through and we can try to figure out what are some things that we don't know. So like right away, I know that GB, I can figure that out by taking 360 minus 124 minus 38 minus 68. I don't know if that's going to help me at all. So I'm just going to start with what are they asking me to find. So the first one says the measure of angle ACB. So ACB. So that's this angle here. I don't know that I have, oh, I do have enough information. Look at that. I know that AE, because it goes through the center at C, I know that AE is a diameter, so I can figure out this missing arc over here. So 180 minus 68 minus 38, that's going to give me 74 degrees for that arc. So then I know the central angle is also 74 degrees. The measure of AIG. Well, AIG, I would need AG, and again, I can go through and figure out if I go 180 minus 124, that's going to give me 56. So now I have all these little pieces taken care of. So if I want to find the measure of AIG, I switch colors here and put a little mark there. That intercepts the 56 degree arc. Maybe I'll do it by the number here. So that's going to be half of 56 plus 38. So 56 plus 38 divided by 2. So that's going to be 47 degrees. The next one, EID. EID. Well, conveniently, the problem that we just did, AIG, those are vertical angles, so I know that that's going to give me the same thing. That's going to be 47 degrees again. Measure of arc BCA. So BCA, that's the same thing as the first one there. That's a central angle, so that's 74 degrees. The measure of arc BGD. So BGD. So 68 degrees is the arc measure. Excuse me, the angle measure is what we're looking for. But the arc measure is 68. So if I take half of that, that's 34 degrees for that angle. Again, BGD is here. So if I extend those lines, there's my arc that we're looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and just erase those so I don't get confused here. Okay, and then the last one, GHA. So GHA if I draw those in, I know that I have half of 56 plus 68 and 38 makes 106. So half of 56 plus 106 is going to be 81 degrees. Okay, so again, it's going through and figuring out, do you have angles that are in, on, or outside of the circle? I do promise you that if you guys thought that this one was difficult, the one that you guys have on your test on Friday is not as hard to piece the things together. So just keep that in mind when you're doing this. Okay, last one, 29. Use the figure below to find the following measures. So again, I'm going to start by labeling everything. So angle ROS. So ROS is 90 degrees. Okay, so that's nice. I'm going to mark that with 90 right away too, so I know. The measure of arc XR. So XR is here. That's 14 degrees. Measure of arc PM is going to be 107. Measure of angle PQX. So PQ X is 22. I'm going to draw a little arrow for that one. Let's see. Arc PX is 16. Okay, so I have everything filled in there. First one says, what's the measure of arc NOT? NOT is going to be this angle right here. Well, there's two ways of seeing that one. Because of that 16 and then 14 that we filled in, we know that that arc measure is 30. So then we know that this central angle is 30. And so by properties of vertical angles, we know that that is also 30 degrees. Measure of TOS, well, that's why I labeled that 90 right away. That's going to be 60 degrees then. Measure of angle RWT, so RWT, so we're looking for this angle now. RWT. Well, I see a couple different ways that we could do this. I know that this is 30, so I know that this is 60, I know that this is 90. So I can use the property of, if I extend these lines here, and extend this line here, I know I have half of 107, so that's going to be the arc here. Maybe I'll use a highlighter, that's probably easier to see. Half of that arc plus this arc. So that's where those two red lines meet. So half of 107 plus 150. So 107 plus 150, cut that in half, and it's going to be 128.5 degrees. The measure of angle MRN. MRN. Okay, so again, I know that let me use a different highlighter color here. So MRN, I know all of this arc measure, 14 plus 16 plus 107, so I can figure out the rest of it. So 137, take that away from 180, and that leaves me with 43 degrees. So because MRN is on the circle, all I have to do is take half of 43. So half of 43 is 21.5 degrees. Okay, last two questions say the measure of arc PX. Oh, I That's a super easy question because I gave that to you in the instructions. The measure of arc TS. So that's going to be 60 degrees. We'd already filled that in when we went around the circle. Okay, that is it for the review. Hope that helps. If you guys have questions on stuff, make sure to jump onto the team's website between the hours of 4 and 6. Shoot me an email. Let me know if you got questions on anything. Your test is on Friday and only Friday. So you have to make sure that you guys get that complete on Friday. So plan accordingly for that. Again, if you have questions, shoot me an email or log in.